I think that it's an opportunity everywhere. Big or small, metro or rural. I really don't think it matters. It just has to do with your skill and ability to connect with people and your consistency and persistence in marketing. Because if you can do those two things, I very much believe it's an opportunity everywhere.
If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Conner.
What if the best real estate deals aren't on the MLS? What if the best real estate deals are not on Zillow? What if the best real estate deals are not even being marketed at all? What if they're sitting with people who haven't even decided to sell yet, but they're about to? Welcome to Raising Private Money. I'm your host, Jay Conner, the Private Money Authority. And on this show, we don't talk theory. We talk about what actually puts deals together and gets them funded. Well, today's episode is a big one because I'm sitting down with someone I've personally trusted and used for years. Micah Nicholes is the owner and CEO of US Lead List, and he specializes in uncovering high-quality off-market properties, specifically pre-probate inheritance leads that most real estate investors don't even know how to access. Well, Micah isn't some data broker guessing from the sidelines. He's been in the trenches since 2014, buying, selling, holding, wholesaling, wholetailing real estate himself. He knows what works because he's actually done it and still does it today. In fact, he was just telling me before we went live that he just locked up another one last week. Well, through US Lead List, Micah has helped investors, wholesalers, real estate agents all across the country connect with motivated sellers and close real deals in competitive markets. And when he's not building businesses or helping investors win, he's raising his 4 kids and with his wife and coaching their soccer teams. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on how smart real estate investors are finding deals before everyone else. And of course, the name of this show is Raising Private Money. And how does that directly tie into raising private money with confidence? In just a moment, you're going to meet my very good friend, fellow mastermind member, and real estate investor, Micah Nicholes, right after this. Micah, my good friend, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. What an introduction. Holy crap. You're straight up professional. I knew you were a performer when I saw you play the piano before, but that was quite good. You just, it gets better and better every time. So,
well, there you go, Micah. Well, I'm so excited to have you on here on the podcast because you provide a service that I've been using for years. I've lost count as to how many deals I've gotten off of using your data, your list. It's so fantastic. And let's go ahead and dive in so the audience can learn all about what it is that you do. So most real estate investors, of course, I've been investing full-time since 2003. Most real estate investors chase the same tired leads that everybody else is fighting over. So why is it that inherited property lists consistently, and that's a keyword right there, produce better deals than traditional motivated seller lists?
I would say it's mostly because it's not, it's money. It comes down to money. Typically the properties are paid off. They are in a place where they've got to figure out a solution to how they're going to solve, are we going to sell it? Is someone else going to take it over? Are we going to renovate it? We're going to put it on the market as is. And so it's a combination of money, timing, and, solving a real need. And there's a kind of a window in which you can do that over a couple of months. You kind of target this person and introduce yourself, and you kind of have to be a Sherpa. You got to help these people through the situation because sometimes there's errors, there's challenges, different things. But in general, it's the complexity. $5 or $10 or $20,000 off the price isn't going to, make a giant difference for these people. They're looking for a solution to their pain, which is like, I don't know how to sell this, flip this property, or deal with all the probate. All those things kind of make for a perfect storm for a seasoned investor to step into and create a great opportunity for themselves.
Well, if I can also answer my own question from experience of using your data and using your list, what I have found with these lists of people that you provide, the inherited list, what I have found is they haven't already been talking to other real estate investors. And I'm actually able to, me and my team, my acquisitionists, we're able to have a conversation with these people ahead of the competition. And so it's not, I'm not dealing with these competing offers and that type of thing, because, the list that you provide, I mean, you're getting the list out monthly, every month, and it's, it's coming like really, really quickly. And, one thing that I love about your personality, Micah, you do this business, you use your own data, is the way that you talk to these people when they respond to the direct mail marketing that you also provide. How would you summarize your mindset and your tone of voice when you talk with these people?
I would say that for me, part of it's just naturally. I think naturally I'm an empath. So yeah, I look externally to see what is happening for someone else, and I'm looking for cues, trying to understand what's happening internally for them, and I respond to that. Even, I respond even when someone doesn't necessarily know that they're projecting. So, I'll get calls and they're just, they're in the middle of a storm. They just lost something that is irreplaceable, right? It's a really sensitive time to kind of connect with these people. And I found that, you're just much better off putting all your stuff aside, delaying all of what you want, and just wholeheartedly trying to take this person in exactly where they're at. And so I would say, as far as talking to them, just gentle. Listen first. Put your own kind of plans on pause while you're trying to understand and build rapport with these people. Because if you do, then they're going to trust you with this, big decision that they have to make around this property and how they're going to solve those problems.
Yeah. And, one thing that of course, you train and coach your clients, the real estate investors that you provide data to, and you actually have protected territories for real estate
Correct.
investors. So you don't have a ton of real estate investors getting the same data. But in your training, one thing that you train is you tell the real estate investor, of course, the letter or letters that you send out, they don't even bring up the topic that someone has passed away. It's an inherited property. It's a very generic direct mail that is sent out. But you don't even bring up the topic. You don't even approach the topic of it being an inherited property unless they bring it up, right? And of course, they bring it up most of the time, right?
Most of the time. I've bought a couple properties where someone died. I knew someone died, and they didn't tell me anything. But in general, it's almost, especially how I'm kind of drawing it out of them. If someone tells me they're selling a property, pretty much all I say is, well, what's the situation? And, pretty much top of mind, my dad died, my uncle passed away, what have you. But typically that comes out first. But in general, I don't think it's a great idea to go and poke the bear. It's kind of like the bull in the china shop. You break the opportunity before you get a chance to buy it. Just, subtle, listen, observe, try and show up how they need. And that's how I've found I get the most opportunities.
Right. Well, by you specializing in monthly pre-probate inheritance list, in your experience, what's actually happening in these sellers' life at this stage? And how is it that it makes these opportunities so powerful when handled the right way?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't even think I told you, my dad just passed away, a month ago.
Oh, no,
Um,
I didn't know that. I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah, no, it's a fact of life. It's unfortunate, but so I can speak to this personally right now. I miss my dad. I'd give a lot to have another conversation with him. Um, we're in the process of going through probate. We're dealing with all of the, his pension, his property, just all the different things. So there's a bunch of logistics. There's a bunch of kind of raw emotions, and again, it's kind of like that perfect storm that I was mentioning before. It's like, you know, I'm versed in how to do this because I've done it with other people so much. So I have a leg up. But for most people, when all of these things are happening, it's really overwhelming. You don't it's just like, what do I work on right now? Where's my probate lawyer? Can he help me get through this? I don't. And then they're just reeling from the emotional pain. And so, all those things put together, alongside of, generally these people have owned their houses for a long time. So they've got a good amount of equity. They're, it's not like it's a foreclosure or something where, in general, most of those properties, there just isn't a lot of money to squeeze from it because they've leveraged up over the years, and now they can't pay anything because they've spent all that money along the way. That's not always the case, but a lot of times it is. Anyway, so in that scenario, you come in, you help these people out, and like you said earlier, if you do this right and your marketing is good, you're kind of the only person there. And really, I seed this by just showing up and creating trust, and I do that by just being a good listener, acting like how I would want someone to treat me. And literally, again, the other day, I talk about this a lot. The measure of trust that you have with the seller should be that if someone else offered them more money, they would either come back to you and say, "Hey, would you match this?" Or they would take they should take your offer because they like you better. And that just happened to me again this last weekend. And so for me, that's something that I lean into really hard because it's a skill. It's like anything else, but the more the better you could relate to this person, the more rapport that you have with them, there is a point where they would actually take a financial loss to work with you because they like you that much better. And that's really the mindset that has helped me capitalize on more deals, just put deals together that make sense from an investor standpoint. And also feel at the end of the day, when I close my eyes, put my head down, like I'm really helping these people and they're helping me.
Yeah. A lot of real estate investors, when they hear inheritance leads, they may think legal complexities or emotional landmines.
Mm-hmm.
What do most real estate investors get wrong about working inherited property deals?
Well, what I got wrong is that I thought I would have to help get a bunch of people through probate, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen, because it does, but I've been doing this strong for about 5 years, just specifically this niche, and I've only had to help 2 people get basically from beginning to end all the way through probate. And so in general, that kind of happens outside of me. And the other thing that I would say is that, people underestimate the amount of impact that emotions have on the deal. People, and I'm guilty of this too, but we're all looking through this, through the world of the colors and shades that we want to see. And for investors, we're trying to find a good deal. And so when you come in and that is the focus, that's kind of your point, that's all you're looking at, and it absolutely needs to be. But if that's all you're showing to the other person that's important, you're going to lose the opportunity. So kind of flipping that around, it's like, well, then what's important to the seller? For them, it's probably feeling heard, solving problems that they don't know how to solve, making what seems like a logistical nightmare seem simple. I think between those 2 things are the kind of largest points that people get wrong about it.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Well, Michael, you've been an active real estate investor ever since 2014, and you've been specifically in this niche for about 5 years.
Mhm.
Um, how has your own experience of buying and selling properties shaped the way that you now built and offer the services you do at US Lead List? And what problems are you trying to help solve that no one else was? And I'm talking about the problems of a real estate investor in this context. So, there's other companies that provide data, but I've never seen any other type of data like you provide. I mean, you don't provide a lead. I mean, you're providing all kinds of data with each lead. If you could review those, specifics that you offer, it's quite amazing.
Yeah. So when I bought this company 5 years ago, and so back when I bought it, you basically got 5 pieces of information. The family surname and their property address, and that was fine, and it worked. But what I thought and believed is that there was just a lot of kind of components or pieces that were missing. And so since then, we added on a bunch of stuff, just regular property information. That's great. We're looking at tax delinquency. We're looking at property vacancy. And then, there's another component in which, there's different scenarios because I haven't really explained this yet, but, what we're doing is we're lining up when someone passes away and if they own real estate. And there's, 4 main kind of subgroups that, come into play after that. The first is a pre-probate. The next is a surviving spouse. After that, it's trusts. And then the last one is interfamily transfers before the death. And each one of those scenarios is different. For example, pre-probate, likely, unless our data is wrong, has to go through probate. And that takes a long time. It's a 3 to multi-year long process. That needs 3 months to multi-year long process that has to happen. Whereas if there's a spouse, that's completely different. No probate is necessary in most places in the United States. There are provisions for that surviving spouse to take over that property. They just have to produce a death certificate. So the timing is different. And so we're kind of trying to segment and build all these different ways out to capitalize on the list. And my personal favorite way that we segment the data is, finding folks who have additional property. So, let's say, a landlord like myself passes away. I've got a portfolio of properties that if I pass away, someone has to figure out how I'm managing these things. It's a big headache. It's a big deal. And so, marketing to those people who are going to inherit those properties there's a narrow window in which you can show up and solve this, pretty significant amount of pain. I don't know how to run this real estate business. Can you step in, market to them, convince them to sell you that group of properties and take that over. And that's a giant, not only can you set up a great deal for yourself, but it's a giant relief and help for those people who are currently trying to sort through the situation, manage it.
So from your observations, I mean, you've worked with a number of real estate investors. By the way, for anybody that is tuning into the show right now, and if you've got to jump off early, I don't want you to miss out on Micah's contact information to learn if your area is even available for him to serve you and give you these monthly leads every month. But you can contact Micah at www, and we put together a special URL for the folks here on the podcast, www.jayconner.com/inherited. That's JAYCONNER.com/inherited. And that'll take you straight to getting in contact with Micah Nicholes to see if your area is open. So from your observation, Micah, you have clients that have gotten your data and gotten traction from it, been successful. You have other clients, real estate investors, that got the data and, nothing really happened for them. What separates in your opinion, what separates the real estate investors who consistently close deals, provide solutions to these families that want to sell from those who never really get any traction and then they end up canceling?
Yeah. Two main things I would say. First would be, how good is your acquisition person? That's a big factor here. And, there's no great way to kind of just measure that person and their skill. But, a great acquisitionist is going to make you more money. Hands down, they're just going to close more deals. The second, and I would say more predictable way to get more deals is, how much are you marketing? Are you sending a letter? Are you doing any direct mail at all? Are you just cold calling? What I would say is, like, the best situation is you're sending multiple direct mail pieces over a period of time. Like, as I've already mentioned, many times, it's like this is a complex, evolving problem. Their lives are busy. That you've got to cut through some of that chaff, and hitting them over at least a few months with direct mail will be a big difference in your ROI. And then, do you have other channels? So, for me, my acquisition person hand dials each of those people who have multiple properties. So we're constantly chasing them. We call them about once a month, just trying to get in touch with them, create a relationship, and close deals from there. Are you a good marketer, and are you consistent? Because that's really what most of good marketing is. It's just consistency.
Yeah. When you say consistency, Micah, I think of two words. I think of that one, consistent, and I think of persistent. Consistent and persistent. All of that wrapped around empathy, of course.
Yep.
All of that wrapped around empathy. And, you work with real estate investors all over the country. Would you say inherited property opportunities are market dependent, or, if you've got the same skill set on your team for marketing? And by the way, just let everybody know, I use Micah's list and I mail 3 months in a row, 90 days. Obviously, we stop mailing once someone responds. We don't bring up anything about it being an inherited property or anything like that. It's very generic, direct mail marketing. But is there anything that's different in the markets about this when it comes to inherited properties?
I would say that, the biggest thing would probably be something like the state of California. So in California, if you've got a probate case, I'm 90% sure that the court forces a public sale of that property. And so there are some probate laws that make a private sale actually public. But outside of, examples like that have to do with laws, things that you cannot control. No, I don't. I think that it's an opportunity everywhere. Big or small, metro or rural. I really don't think it matters. It just has to do with your skill and ability to connect with people, and your consistency and persistence in marketing. Because if you can do those two things, I very much believe it's an opportunity everywhere. Even when I was just talking about that deal that I wrapped up the other day. This person she lost her husband 4 years ago. I've been marketing to this person, and they were having an estate sale, and that was how I ended up getting in touch with her after sending her a bunch of mail. I talked to the estate sale person, and he connected me with her, and that was how I got the contract. And so it's like, if again, persistence, wins out over the long run. If you're just, constantly sniffing around something, you're gonna get to it. You just, it's just kind of how and when.
Right. So let's take a moment as we're getting ready to wrap up. Let's take a moment and talk about the funding of these properties. From your experience, your own deals that you do, Micah, what percentage would you say the sellers of these properties require all the money? After all, this is a podcast called Raising Private Money. So what percentage of these owners or the heirs of these properties require all the cash at closing versus some of them being willing to do some creative financing, such as selling with seller financing, or, if there's a mortgage, selling subject to the existing note, and those types of creative ways versus using private money or your own cash or a traditional financing to purchase these properties?
So I would say that probably two to three out of every deals that I work in, there's some creative finance component that, could be played. Otherwise, for me, I'm funding with a ridiculous arrangement I've got with a bank, or my own personal money. And sometimes on big projects, I'll bring in private money too. But in general, I would say that it's 2 or 3 out of 10 where someone will carry paper, sub to something like that, where I don't I can arrange the financing of the property without a bank, without bringing in a third party.
Sure. Well, I wanted to bring that up because I don't want my audience to think you got to have all the cash for all these deals. Now, the majority of the deals you do. So audience, you're at the right place here on Raising Private Money podcast. In fact, on the outro, you'll be offered a free download that you can get about private money. But creative financing is, of course, an option as well for some of these. So, Micah, some real estate investors are analyzers, thinker brains, and they'll say, I'll just pull my own inherited property list. And of course, the data that you provide at everybody's at your client's fingertips is just amazing. But I know why I do it. I know why I use your service. But from the feedback you get, why do serious real estate investors choose a monthly professional curated list like yours instead of doing it themselves?
I think it has to do with ROI and where your highest and best value is. If you've got a good acquisition person and they're not working, and you're wasting your time, or you're having them waste their time trying to put data together and append and match and do all this, it's like, is that the best place to put your time, money, effort? No, you could get more deals in the funnel. Like that it's just a no-brainer. And two, I think that to do it the way that we do it, you would have to spend a lot of money. So you could absolutely, you could take the time, you could go and you could match it, and if someone really doesn't have money to pay for the service, but they have time, great, go to the probate courts, grab some of that data, and make those phone calls, send those letters. But as soon as you know how to close deals, you should be completely out of that. You should be focusing on closing more properties, funding more properties, and building your portfolio.
What you just said, Micah, reminds me of phone time is ATM time. And the more time either yourself or your acquisitionist is spending time talking to owners of properties, that's the highest and best use of your time. I'm all about done for you services. And by the way, folks, if you're listening to this show, don't tell Micah I said this, but he does not charge enough for his service. I'll just tell you that. I mean, it's pennies on the dollars for these leads that he provides every month. And it's a protected territory. In addition to that, when I say done for you, Micah actually has another arm to his company that will actually handle the direct mail for you in an automated way. So talk about turnkey, hands off, to where, your phone is ringing. And actually the direct mail that Micah and his team mails out for me, the phone number actually goes to our AI representative agent. Her name is Bailey. And Bailey, that we use, actually books 3 out of every 4 phone calls, appointments with my acquisitionist. I'm all about done for you. That is for sure. Micah, final words for someone that is starting out. They've never done inherited list before. What overall advice would you give them?
I think I would say if, how I was speaking about it and what I was saying, if that resonated with you, it's probably a good fit. If you felt like, I was gabbing on and you're like, I don't know about this, Micah, maybe not a good fit for you, but maybe it is a good fit for someone who's more of an empath on your team who can relate to people's emotions. That really is, I think, the key to, kind of seizing the opportunity. There's a million different ways that you can make money in real estate. Literally, I'm learning a new one every week. It's crazy. So many options. But for me, this is one that I truly enjoy, and because how I leverage myself is by the relationships with the people that I meet from marketing to this list, and that's what I really like about it.
Well, you can't fake a servant's heart. You can't
Absolutely.
fake a servant's heart, and I love your heart, Micah. All right, folks, there you have it. Reach out to Micah Nicholes at www.jayconner.com/inherited, and that'll get you directly in touch there with Micah. Micah, thank you so much for joining me here on Raising Private Money.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to see you.
Same here. Well, listen, if you got value from today's episode, here's the big takeaway, and that is the best deals are almost always found off market, just like these leads that Micah provides. Micah just showed you how to get these inherited leads. Reach out to him when done the right way. Create opportunity before everyone else, real estate investors, even know these opportunities exist to serve other people. Less competition, better margins, more confidence, and confidence is everything. So if you want to raise private money with ease, be sure and take me up on my free offer when the outro comes up here. And make sure you connect with Micah and check out what he's doing at www.jayconner.com/inherited. And if this episode helped you think differently today about finding deals or raising capital, do me a favor. Subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review, and share this episode with another real estate investor who is still chasing deals the hard way. I'm Jay Conner, the Private Money Authority. This is Raising Private Money, and I'll see you right here on the next episode.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jayconner.com/moneyguide. That's jayconner.com/moneyguide. And download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jayconner.com/moneyguide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with Jay Conner.